Don't let one bad leg haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Here's how it works. Build any 3+ leg pregame NFL parlay on Sunday, apply your Ghost Leg token, and if one leg loses, DraftKings makes it vanish like it never existed and pays you out in cash for the rest. Last season, over 30 million parlays were lost by a single leg. This year, Ghost Leg gives those busted bets a second life. No more busted parlays that haunt you all season. With Ghost Leg, the bad leg vanishes. The payout doesn't. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PFF. That's code PFF to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses, get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. All right, the first game we're going to preview here in Week 3 is a Friday night game between Colorado at Houston, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN on Friday night. Storylines to know is these are two programs looking to start their Big 12 slate on the right foot because both of them open their conference slates on Friday night against each other. The Buffaloes are currently 1-1 on the season. They lost to Georgia Tech by 7 in Week 1, a team that's currently ranked in the PFF top 25, and they beat Delaware in Week 2. The Cougars, meanwhile, are 2-0 for the first time in 7 years that Houston is 2-0 to start the season. They beat Stephen F. Austin and Rice in their first two games. Considering both these programs might be fighting and clawing their way to get to bowl eligibility at the end of the season, this could be a huge, huge game for them in determining whether or not they can extend their season.
Yeah, I mean, the big news, I think, in this game that just dropped today as we're recording this is the fact that it appears Ryan Staub now is going to start at quarterback for Colorado. And, of course, there's just never a dull moment with Colorado football, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent or just something wild. So it adds a sense of intrigue to this game. They're already going on the road against a team that is 2-0. Willie Fritz has them feeling pretty good about themselves, especially on defense. And now Colorado, 2 games into it, or really a game and a half into their season, is making a quarterback change, and not the one we thought they might make with Julian Lewis. And who knows if they're trying to protect him from playing too early or what. But it appears now that Ryan Staub is going to go for this team. And I think Colorado, Caden Salter obviously was named the starter. He was the starter in Week 1 and 2. And it feels like they were always trying to get to a point where they knew who their quarterback was, at least in time for Big 12 play. Well, now after a half of football against Delaware, it's Ryan Staub, and I don't know what this is going to look like. It's like I said, it's never a dull moment there in Boulder, and we've got it again this week.
Well, I'll break that all down in just a second, but you have the other side of the ball with Houston's offense. To talk more about Connor Wigman, their quarterback, we know will be the starter for Houston on Friday night against Colorado's defense.
Yeah, so the scores are lopsided, in Houston's first 2 games against Stephen F. Austin and against Rice, and they're just better than those teams, obviously. I think that's a big reason they've started 2-0, and I don't really feel like their offense is played at a big-time level yet, right? They have Connor Wigman, the Texas A&M transfer as a quarterback, Tanner Koziol, the tight end transfer from Ball State and then Wisconsin. He's really their best offensive player to me. Dean Connors is a good player in the backfield, but I don't feel like they've played that well offensively, especially on the offensive line. And I think one thing, the theme with Colorado is that they're very aggressive on defense. They run a ton of man coverage. They blitz at a high rate, and that man coverage is actually what I'm going to focus on. Right now, they run the second highest rate of man coverage in college football, right? You've got DJ McKinney outside, RJ Johnson outside, Preston Hodge in the slot, right? But, 2 big 6'2" corners on the outside, and it's Deion Sanders coaching you. You're going to be in press man coverage a lot. That's what they're doing. So I want to look at Connor Wigman in his career against man coverage because he's going to see a ton of it this year, and it's really been a struggle. I know a lot of this has been an SEC competition, but Colorado has a very good secondary, even with Travis Hunter gone now. 57 passing grade in his career against man coverage, only completing less than 46% of his passes, and it's that last number down there, 5 big-time throws, throws, 8 turnover-worthy plays. Generally, when you've seen Connor Wigman against heavy man coverage teams, a little bit of a hard time throwing into those tight windows. So if Colorado can keep those windows tight, and Houston is not pass protected well through 2 weeks, I expect a lot of blitzing. I expect a lot of aggression from Robert Livingston, Colorado's defensive coordinator, in this game. There's other weeks where I would like to see him use more zone coverage and sit back a little bit more, but I actually think this is the right week for Colorado's defense, especially now with their offensive situation. Get aggressive, try to make things happen, try to force Wigman into bad throws, and get those turnovers. Give Ryan Staub short fields to work with.
Yeah, so really it's all about, can Ryan Staub, for me, just seize the quarterback job right now, because he will be starting on Friday night, which is kind of crazy considering, Dalton, when we previewed Colorado going into the year, it's all about the quarterback competition, but between Caden Salter and Julian Lewis, now out of nowhere in week 2, Ryan Staub seems to have taken over that job for now because he was really good against Delaware in week 2. Caden Salter was the only one who played in week 1 against Georgia Tech. All 3 of them played in week 2 against Delaware, and Staub, out of the 3 of them, was the best out of all of them. Caden Salter had a 57.3 passing grade against Delaware on 23 dropbacks. Julian Lewis, a 68.7 passing grade on only 5 dropbacks against Delaware. And then Ryan Staub, on 13 dropbacks, he had an 85.5 passing grade. He had 3 big-time throws on only 13 dropbacks, with also a turnover-worthy play in there too. He completed 7 of his 11 passes for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. He'll make his second start of his career this Friday night against Houston, the redshirt sophomore. But it also appears that Colorado's quarterback situation is still fluid. So Ryan Staub, while he is starting this game against Houston, it's not a guarantee he will be the starting quarterback for the rest of the year for Colorado. So really, I'm interested in seeing, how does Ryan Staub look, and can he seize this job now he's getting the start on Friday?
Yeah, and we saw in certain games last year, and we've seen it through 2 games this year, that Houston's secondary is pretty good. They lost a couple of big-time transfers, right? Well, A.J. Halsey, right? Jeremiah Wilson went to Florida State. But their secondary is pretty good. Willie Fritz has always got a solid, fundamentally sound defense that doesn't give up explosive plays. And I'm just curious again, I think the one reason, I'll tell you this again, the reason that I picked Georgia Tech to beat Colorado in week 1, and what I'm still concerned about heading into week 3, is just, what is their offensive identity? What do we know Colorado to be on offense? Even on defense, okay, maybe they lost some talent from last year, but I know what they're trying to do. I'm not exactly sure what the identity. Maybe with a whole week of game planning with Ryan Staub as the quarterback, it looks a little bit different. They go back to more of the quick game and some of the concepts they used with Shedeur Sanders last year. I really do think through 2 weeks that they have run the ball well with Micah Welsh and Kalen Taylor in the backfield. I think that's going to play a big part, but without Salter on the field, you lose the option threat. Staub is not nearly as mobile as Salter, so it's going to be a little more traditional. Once again, I think the spotlight is on Pat Shurmur to see now what he can do with a guy we thought was their 3rd-string quarterback and making only his 2nd career start.
Yeah, definitely. Houston right now, I know it's been against, not great competition in weeks 1 and 2 against Stephen F. Austin and Rice, but Houston right now has the 3rd best coverage grade in the country, with a 91.4 mark, only behind Minnesota and Maryland right now. So Houston's secondary has looked really good through 2 weeks, but obviously this is the toughest test this week against Colorado. Dalton, ultimately, who will win this Friday night game in the Big 12 opener between Colorado and Houston?
If I had an honest answer for you, which I try to stay honest on this show, if I had an honest answer, I would tell you I have no idea. The Colorado quarterback situation, it just throws a wrench in it because we've seen so little of Staub. And yes, he played well last week, but he played well against Delaware, right, which just moved up from the FCS this year to Conference USA, playing the first year in the FBS. I was back and forth on this. I do think for one thing, it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think both defenses are going to show up and play well. I think this could be honestly a race to 20 points. I was back and forth. I flipped this the last minute, probably 2 hours before the show. I'm going Houston 20-16. I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to take the team that at least Houston might not be great on offense, but at least I know who's going out there, and I know kind of what to look for with Wigman, with Koziol at tight end. He's one of the best tight ends in the country. Dean Connors in the backfield is a hard runner. He's a physical guy. Wide receiver is going to be a big question in this game against Colorado's corners, but this really might be about the team that just wins field position and the turnover battle. If they can turn over a young quarterback in Ryan Staub, or is it going to be Connor Wigman making the mistakes against the man coverage? I'm going to stick with Houston. Really, home field advantage, and I do like their defense, and I have no idea what we're getting out of Staub. Houston 20-16.
I'm going Colorado, actually. I'm taking Colorado 24-21. I know it's a bit of a quarterback controversy right now down there in Boulder, but I think Colorado's pass defense that you just broke down right there has a big, big advantage over Connor Wakeman in this game with the amount of man coverage they run and how good I think the secondary can be for Colorado. And while Houston's secondary has looked good through 2 games, again, it was Stephen F. Austin and it was Rice. And last year, Houston had the 90th coverage grade in America. So I think Ryan Staub might have found something in that game against Delaware. We'll see. And also, like if he isn't playing well, they could throw in Kane Salter. They could throw in Julian Lewis. Again, I don't think it's over. I don't think Ryan Staub is guaranteed to be the guy the rest of the year. So I'm taking Colorado to win this game. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I agree with you, but I have Colorado 24-21.
I think you could still absolutely use Salter even in running situations, right? The option threat with Salter, the rushing threat. We even saw that against Georgia Tech, and there was times where he didn't run when he probably could have. But the level of athlete that he is, that's not a guy you just want playing no snaps. I think there's times, short yardage, option situations, use him if it's more as a wildcat or if he's just your quarterback by halftime of this game, then so be it. But it's such a fluid situation. And that's the big thing for me is, again, a lack of offensive identity. And Salter is so much different now than Staub and so much different than if we ever see Julian Lewis this year. I don't know what to expect from Colorado. At least, again, with Houston, I know what to expect, but they do have a good challenge in front of them. So I get the logic and still rolling with Colorado, but I think we get a low-scoring game.
Yeah, it should be a really fun game on Friday night.